IVM.
Hi, I'm Zarina Poonawalla, a life coach, a business mentor, and a motivational speaker. I tackle the challenges that come with varied work cultures, and I try to give out some cheat codes for loving your job in the second season of the Empowering series with me, Zarina. This show will feature live sessions with me and a participant, most likely to be an entrepreneur, a startup founder, an employee, a recruiter, or just about anyone who strives to love their job and looks forward to bringing in a positive shift at their workplace. On today's episode, I have with me the gorgeous, the bold, and the unapologetic Rytasha Rathore. Hi, Rytasha.
Hi, Zarina. If only anyone could see my face right now. The gorgeous, the bold, the unapologetic. Like, oh my God, these words are
I think
a lot.
these words resonate with you and your
Yes,
personality. So
I
I said, let
suppose.
me use them and
Yeah.
kind of,
But personally, I hate the word bold
Why?
because it's like a font. Like, I'm not a font.
How do you know it's a font? Is it just that it's like saying italic?
Yeah, but that's what. So I'm like, when anyone says bold, I always think about the font.
I always think bold and beautiful. So,
Okay. That's a show I've not ever watched.
Me neither, but just the word.
Yes,
For
fair.
me, it comes before the computer era. So let's take it in that perception.
I'm bold and beautiful.
And you're also a fine actor,
Yeah.
very, very skilled, very talented. You like to come across as many. I mean, I've seen you in different roles. You've done this show on ANT-TV called Baro Bahu.
Yeah.
Okay. And you've also done lots of work with Filter Copy, BuzzFeed, still working, still
Yeah,
doing a
yeah.
lot of things. And recently you've also become a co-host and somebody who's on air and doing their own podcast. It's called Agla Station Adulthood.
Yes, Aisha and I, Aisha is my creative partner.
Lovely,
life
who's missing
partner.
today.
Yes, she's sadly at home with dengue.
Okay.
And she sends her regards, and she and I have birthed our firstborn, and
How
that
sweet.
firstborn is called Agla Station Adulthood.
Wonderful. So we have our children in the same nursery because
Yes.
this is my firstborn as well.
Correct.
So that's amazing. How did you come up with the idea of Agla Station Adulthood?
The name itself or the
Mhm.
concept of the show?
Both.
Okay, so the name itself, we were just racking our brains for a while. Like, what do we call it? We didn't want it to be like adulting or adulthood just by itself.
Mhm.
I definitely wanted a little Hindi in it also because
Sure.
I, as a person nowadays, I've been exploring my personality and my humor in Hindi and English both.
Lovely.
So मैंने सोचा चलो, I want to call it Agla Station Adulthood, and then I ran the name by the girls, Kavita and Ayushi, and they were like, yeah, we like this one
Mhm.
because it's relatable. It gives you that entire it's a visual almost of like going through the different stations
Right.
of life and of adulthood. So that way I think it's a nice analogy, metaphor, whatever you want to call it.
Excellent.
So that tied in really well. And the show itself though is really nothing. It's us and our struggles. Basically whatever we chat about at home with each other, now we have to come and chat about in a structured manner.
In a very structured manner, in a nice recording
yes.
studio with perfect temperature and headphones.
Oh, and then we're so it's just the best time. Ayushi and I recording together. It's a very beautiful, peaceful time for us.
How
It's
sweet.
a special time. Yeah.
That's very cute. I know you're
Thanks.
missing her today and
I
I
am.
would really be happy to have her on the show as well. Maybe the next time we do something, we'll do something together. All of us.
Shout out to Ayushi. We miss you and I love you the most.
Yes, Ayushi. I do too. Okay, so Rytasha, let's talk a little bit about your journey and getting into the industry. There are certain norms, standards. You've broken and shattered the glass ceiling for a lot of people out there. I think that. I've seen your work. I've seen your work.
A huge compliment, and I don't know how to take it, but I'm going to say thank you.
Please do that.
Yeah.
You just have to take it. Keep
Yeah.
it, absorb it for now. But just tell me, how's the journey been and how did it start?
I realized I wanted to act quite early on. So by 11th or 12th grade, I'd made up my mind that this is what I want to do. And then I toyed with the idea of either what do I study further after 12th standard? The idea of maybe I should do journalism or something.
Okay.
But that didn't work out, thank God, because then I took a gap year and I worked with a couple of theatre companies.
Oh,
and
good.
then my mom and dad were like, if you really want to be an actor, you should go and study acting. And I did. Then when I came back to Bombay, I was like, chalo karte acting.
Mhm.
And I started with theatre, and then slowly this TV show
TV show
fell
came
into
up.
my lap. And then then it's just been ongoing. And it's been 5 years this year as a working actor, like post bachelor's degree.
This was quite an accomplishing journey in 5 years, I have to tell you that.
It's not bad, yeah. I like sometimes I feel pretty proud of myself.
No, there are people who've been around for a long time and you get to know that they've been around for this long and now you actually know of them.
Fair.
So in that context, I think you've been well accomplished. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. But theek hai. It's not like I'm not that famous also. Like I will not get mobbed on the roads. I'm like a normal person. मुझे ऑटो वाले कहीं नहीं ले जाते.
Well, that is a case for all of us. Welcome to regular life.
I am a regular person is what I'm saying.
Yeah, you are regular. No,
yeah, so 5 more years I'll be like a superstar.
Superstar. Okay. So what is it that actually is different in the industry, and what did you think about the industry and what has it turned out to be for you?
I never really thought about it that much, and thus far my relationship with the industry or whatever has been strictly pertaining to my work. So the feelings I have are purely because of the work the industry does, the way the industry works, and it's all different. So for theatre, like theatre is just lovely. It's a beautiful place to be. People are wonderful. Usually the process is also like just very rewarding creatively, no? It's satisfying. But the problem with theatre is like there's no money involved, or like there's very little finances going on. So one cannot sustain their livelihood doing just plays. But as an artist, I would say that is a very rewarding place to be. However, in the camera medium, there's film, there's TV, there's web series, there are ads, there are these sketch comedy things, there's just like short form videos. There's a lot going on. And I found that most of them work in a similar way.
Okay.
I wasn't quite prepared for, let's say, because I went and studied acting. So it was very key, like, it's professional.
Right.
But in our industry, as the entertainment industry at large, I would say professionalism is a little like a loose word, in the sense that there are delays, there are like last minute things, people are like not being their most efficient selves, not everybody is highly qualified for the job, so that exists. So it's just been okay, figuring that out, because my expectations and my standards are like way up high.
Right, because you've studied it, you've learned it as a form of education and taking it forward as a profession. So naturally there's an expectation or kind of standard set in your head, right?
Yeah, that you just want to work professionally and you want like things to go smoothly and all that, which never really happens. So it's been just a lesson in patience and learning, okay, the industry is not going to meet your expectations. So just slowly and surely do your work, go home.
Right.
Yeah.
So you got into that zone and routine eventually.
Yeah.
Understanding them better.
Yeah. Now I'm very like, do my work and I go home. I have my life and that's great.
Well, amazing. Okay. Having said that about the industry in general, any challenges that you faced when you initially started out and even now, because we all have challenges that we face in our respective industries, anything that you particularly faced?
Particularly, well, the first and the most obvious one, hello, I am not a size 8 or a size 2 or a size 4, I'm a size 16, 18. So that is already a obvious challenge when a person who is 23, 22 years of age decides to be an actor, because when we think of young women becoming actors, we think that, okay, everyone wants to be a heroine.
Right.
I couldn't have that dream, but naturally, because...
No, but you couldn't have that dream, or you didn't really...
No, I had the dream in college. Like when I was like 17, 18, I was like, yeah, मैं Deepika Padukone banungi. But then when I turned like 21, I was like, nope, that's not a real thing. I need to understand the difference between an actor and a star. Okay. And I need to understand why I am here in this world. What am I contributing through my craft? And all that like sense finally prevailed.
Right.
So then I was like, okay, now I need to have a new dream of like, let's do good work. Let's contribute to society. Let's make a difference somehow.
Okay.
So then that's where I'm at right now.
And this initial challenge of not being a size 8 and being a size 16, it's very hard for people, because I think everybody has a certain standard image in their minds. And everybody has unrealistic standards of how somebody's supposed to look. Yeah. So what do you think about that?
The media is largely to blame for that, no? Because we have only, not we as in me, but like media at large, magazines, film, television, music videos.
Right.
Everyone, porn also. Like, all these visual mediums are giving viewers a very unrealistic idea of perfection. And in everyday life, like, nobody's perfect. In this entire room right now, like, none of us are perfect.
Of course.
Bodies or any of, like, everyone is like a normal human being.
Yeah.
And that, like, normalization of human is not there, which is why people are so, I think, caught up in this idea of perfection.
There's such a stereotype and stigma actually when it comes to bodies.
So yeah, the media builds up these stereotypes of perfection. And of course, initially I was also like, I am caught up. Should I lose 30 kgs and become a heroine, or should I just stick to my guns and do my job?
Right.
And now 5 years later, I still have that dilemma some days. Some days I think maybe losing 20 kilos is the answer to all my problems. But a part of me is like, no, that's not the only solution.
It's sad that we have a society where there are unrealistic standards, right? And of course, I agree media has made these standards. But then I think also with time, people used to earlier hit the gym. And when they used to hit the gym about 15 years from now, 12 years from now, you saw somebody hitting the gym, you'd be like, you've not put on that much weight. You see, the conversation was that. Now it's about fitness. The conversation's about, now it's a fad.
Yeah.
You go to gym, it's kind of a fashion statement you're making that, hey, I'm living a healthy lifestyle, whether you're healthy or not.
Yeah.
You're still having that kind of a conversation. Earlier, it was more about you were fat or you were oversized, so you had to go to the gym. So I think media has its role, but as people, we are also responsible in a certain manner as to why we've fallen prey to all of this.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? I mean, they're giving us what we want to see.
Yeah.
We've created that kind of a demand in our eyes visually, like you mentioned, you know, and on every medium, you're trying to see, you watch a magazine, you're seeing influencers, you're seeing the ads, everything around you.
It's everywhere.
Right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
at the end of the day, they're going to probably argue with us and say that this is what you guys like.
Yeah.
You don't want to see anything big, but why don't we want to see anything big? Why don't we want to see a plus size woman in a bikini? I'm pretty comfortable with the idea of that.
No, I think, because of the internet, we are moving closer to that place.
Yes.
Like, a very plus-sized model was on the cover of
Yes.
Cosmopolitan
Yes.
UK and all. So internationally, we are moving there. And the conversation is, in terms of body positivity at least, it's not saying that being fat is okay and you're unhealthy is fine.
Right.
They're saying, okay, you're fat, it's fine, but there's no need for you to hate yourself because of it. You can live a life, like, do whatever you're doing, just try to be a healthy person, like, whether you're fat or thin. Like, there are people who are, like, of different sizes and shapes doing the same yoga positions, like, with
Exactly.
equal amount of flexibility and ease. So
Right.
who are we to say ye fit hai aur ye unfit hai?
Exactly. That is absolutely correct.
Lekin bichare, like, yeah, people are just brain fucked. Oops.
But how do you deal with that kind of negativity around you, or with people who are possibly, you know, that there are people who can't deal with it. They succumb to that kind of pressure when somebody is just telling them, oh, you've put on a lot of weight, or, you know, you're really fat, or you should go out there and lose some weight. And I think body shaming is a part of the culture we live in. It's probably been there, starting with relatives, dadis, nannies, family members giving you that kind of flack when they meet you at a wedding or so, let's assume.
Yeah.
But then moving on also into the friends and your colleagues, workspaces. People don't even realize they're body shaming. Have you ever come across that, Rytasha? I mean, they don't even know what they're saying.
I recently was at an audition, and there was another actor there who was also going to audition for the same role. It was an ad, so they didn't have a type of girl they wanted. They just wanted someone who's like a young mom, like the baby was like 6 months old or whatever. So anyway, so I was there, and then there were these like two slightly average to normal sized girls also. We were all just waiting and doing our auditions. Then that girl who was speaking with me, she also turned out to be like working at a production house, and she also acts. So she's telling me, she's looking at me up and down firstly, and she's like, what's your name? And I was like, Rytasha. She's like, actually, you know, we're doing a show and we're looking for a very, very fat girl.
Oh,
So she looked at me up and down, and then she said, very, very fat. So I was like, first in my head, I was like laughing. I was like, ha, ha, ha. Firstly, hold up. I am not very, very fat.
Right.
If you say fat, okay, I can roll with that. If you say very fat, okay, theek hai, I will forgive you. but what the fuck is very, very fat? So then I was like, now the problem is not with me, it is with this woman. So then I decided it was my social duty to tell her, "Ki bitch, you can't talk to someone like that."
Right.
And
you did.
She was like, no, I didn't mean it that way, by industry, like just, you know what I'm saying, for camera. And then it made me realize that it is not her fault. It is an industry standard. According to industry standards, sadly, I might be very, very fat. Even though I don't feel very, very fat, or my health reports don't tell me I'm very, very fat.
Right.
According to the camera, I am very, very fat. So this is the way
they're trained, or they're kind of...
yeah. But these are also the people who are not
to.
making very good content. They are the ones telling average, mediocre stories and catering to the masses. So do I really care? No,
Right.
I don't.
That's perfect. I mean, you have to have that kind of an attitude if you want to go past this.
Correct.
Right? Because people are going to keep coming and telling you something so awful about yourself. I was just having this conversation and we discussed that we actually do look at ourselves in the mirrors every day. So it's very annoying when people have to tell us what we look like. It's not like we don't know.
Yeah, I was sassy with her that time. Then, of course, I went home 5 hours later. I've cried a lot.
Okay.
But that's fine. Now you have to cry and process your feelings also.
So tell me about this whole processing feelings. How do you process them? Like you cry, yes?
I cry a lot. I write my journal. I cry, I journal, I meditate, I chat with friends. And I've been going for therapy for about 5 months now. So that is a good help.
That's amazing. But it's mainly because of this issue? Then?
No, it's like 1,000 things. It's like being an adult is so hard.
What's so hard about being an adult, according to you?
According to me, and the crux of my show, nobody really just prepares you that it's going to be so unexpected. Like the twists and turns are not going to be what you've imagined.
True.
And up until college, you know exactly how your life is going to go. When you're a kid, for the first 18 years of your life or the first 21 years of your life, you know what's going to happen.
Right.
It's not a surprise, unless it's a traumatic, shocking event or whatever. But for the most part, if you're from a privileged family, you know what your outcome is going to be in the next 20 years. Cut to you become an adult, you don't know, no matter what. If you're a person who is working and trying to make their career on their own, you, without like much financial backing, or it's not like you come from like a super rich family or anything, no.
Right.
Then there's a whole another story. But a normal person whose parents are also working and they are also working and everyone is just trying to like do the best they can and be successful in their own work, it's like a constant state of uncertainty. Especially now as a freelance actor also, throw that into the mix of being an adult.
Right.
So, ek to I'm a fresh adult. B, I'm a freelance actor. So there is no certainty from anywhere. It's always in a state of like flux, like what's going to happen today. Every day is new. Every like challenge is like new, which is why I've been struggling a lot.
Okay, so do you think that what would you like a manual to actually get into adulthood?
Yeah, like I sometimes wish like someone would tell me, okay, just do this, just do. Like I wish I wasn't an independent and ambitious person sometimes.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, sometimes. Because then somebody would just tell me ki beta ye karo, beta wo karo. I'd be like, okay, and do it.
That is so cute. But then there are those people who want to not do what people are asking them to. कि बेटा ये करो, तो definitely उसका opposite ही करेंगे. तो उन वाले लोगों के लिए what would your manual to adulthood be then? I mean, how can you give them a manual?
I can't. No, different strokes for different folks. The ones that are having to fight a system, they are already not getting all their rights. Now me here, I have this privilege to even sit and struggle about adulthood because all my bases are covered. I have absolute freedom from my parents. I have absolute financial autonomy. I live alone. I'm taking care of everything in my own life.
True.
So at this point, my adulthood struggles are already at another like plane. Now, if somebody is living at home with their parents, is answerable to them, and their every move is being governed by them, their entire they are not an adult yet. They are still trapped.
Yes.
Like I don't feel like they might be adults legally, but in practice they are not like being able to fully explore their adult journey, and that's the fuck up with Indian society.
That is.
So I have no manual except follow your passion.
Follow your passion is a big one. Yeah. But you mentioned these uncertainties which come with adulthood. When I was younger, I started off. So I come from a privileged background as well. It's not like we've had to struggle for daily bread, So it was never about struggling to become something or to be the breadwinner of the family.
Yeah.
It was more about, okay, just figuring out who you are. And eventually, maybe the plan with my parents probably had for me was getting me married at an earlier age. I got married later. But what I mean is, there was a very set standard by which we were supposed to go forward.
Yeah.
And I guess when you're coming from that kind of a background, you truly don't even care.
Yeah.
But starting to work early, I realized that uncertainties are the best part about adulthood.
Really?
Yes.
Well,
in my opinion.
That's some solace for me.
Yes,
then.
in my opinion, because the fact is that no matter what people are going to tell you, for instance, you got into this industry, Rytasha, and there are people out there who may have had image issues or may have had people telling them random things about what they look like, and they weren't able to deal with it the way you did. Or you came out accepting who you are and dealing with it a certain way. And I guess that's the uncertainty I'm talking about. It helps you grow.
Yeah.
And you don't even realize it.
For sure.
Right? And you don't even realize that you're pushing your confidence up notch. You're taking yourself to another level. When you look back at the journey, it's completely different from what you would have expected it to be.
Yeah.
But it's always worth it.
This is actually so true because in the last 5 years of being an adult, the first 3 years were rocky and the last 2 years have been slightly more manageable. And it's only because of this.
Right.
I have just been looking at every bad experience as a lesson. Like, what can I learn from this? How can I become a better person? So I've been trying to take it in that spirit, and it has helped me.
That's amazing.
A lot.
But do you think people in your age group, they completely relate? I think this thought resonates with people in general, where you're talking about, shit, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with my life. I don't know what's in store for me and how I'm supposed to handle it in general.
Yeah.
But the fact that you just mentioned that you're financially autonomous, you're independent, you're living by yourself, these may be the same reasons why adulthood has been quite a journey for you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's not a lot of people your age are in this position yet, like you mentioned.
Because
They're living
most
with
people
families
will have to get married and then move out of their
Exactly.
homes. So luckily my parents haven't had that. Like, my sister also lives in her own space. I live in my own space. So my parents haven't put that pressure on us. But for most Indian families, it is that system of especially for women, you stay at home. You may be working, you may be independent, you may be autonomous in every way.
Right.
You may be a very ambitious woman, and you still live with your parents, because parents are yet not all parents, but I would say a vast majority would not be okay with their daughters moving out in the same city, for example.
Yes. That's a very Western culture, and I think traditionally we were kind of against this whole culture. So it's still hard for people to accept that your child can live separately by themselves, not being married, and they haven't gone to their husband's house.
In
They
the
can
same
have their own
city.
house.
Yeah, you can.
It's hard. What are the other struggles you think people your age in general, or since you've mentioned, it's 5 years into adulthood, I just like the sound of that. I've never heard anybody saying that to me before.
Because I count it from when you graduate from your undergrad degree, bachelor's khatam hua, adulthood shuru.
True.
क्योंकि मैं masters करने नहीं गई. So I didn't have that next step of, okay, one more set padhai thing to do. It's sorted. No.
Right.
So I count it like that.
Okay, but in that counting of 5 years of adulthood, what are the other kind of challenges that you face?
एक तो you learn कि while you have to be kind and respectful to everyone, you can't be trusting of everyone, and you definitely can't actually give your time and heart to everyone.
Oh, yes.
Because people suck. People suck. This I have learned.
I am saying this for the second time, but it's really cute. Okay.
Yeah, because I am a very easily trusting person.
Right.
And just working and stuff, I've realized that people are liars. Ek to this thing, I didn't know how much people lie. My mom has been very, very, very strict with us about honesty since childhood. We were not allowed to lie. I have gotten away with a few white lies. But the extent to which real grown-up adults lie in the professional world also.
Oh, yes.
कुछ भी चल रहा है. So I have learned that take everyone with a pinch of salt, and nobody is trustworthy until and unless you've actually figured it out and spent enough time with that person.
True. People have a manipulative quality when they become adults, so that's something that I can't deny.
That's so true, actually.
Then again, the lying aspect, I think it's I prefer not to lie because I can't remember the lies. To be honest with you, if I have lied, and let's say it's something drastic that you're talking about, or, professionally, personally, and you make up a nice, beautiful lie, and we know that the saying, one lie leads to so many and all that. Yes. But at the end of the day, to be able to remember that one lie for me is so hard that I prefer not to lie.
Correct.
Yes, that's something that keeps me honest.
That's very good. That's very good.
Yeah, but you're right. There's, you see people very manipulative. Unfortunately, that's something I disagree with as well in adulthood.
People are very selfish also, most people at large, and manipulative is correct.
That's the word, right?
Matlabi bhi hote hai log.
Selfish in what sense?
Nobody actually cares about you, I feel, other than your family and friends that you have spent and invested a lot of time and energy perfecting bonds with. Nobody cares about you. I have that sense. You are only as important as how successful you are at that point in time.
Right.
Based on whatever people view as success around you. This I'm talking about like normal people, not
Regulars.
your dear friends and family. That is okay.
But when you say people don't care about you, how does that make you feel? Or when you've realized that?
It's okay, because do I really care about them?
Exactly. So people are becoming selfish. So in defense of adulthood, the thing is, responsibilities and duties increase so much, priorities change so drastically suddenly when you move from that degree or college and you're getting into this adult zone, starting to get on your feet and just out there in the real world, which they call the real world. So in defense of adulthood, I would say that it's mainly the reason for people to become slightly selfish in their way of behavior is because their priorities are changing and they are literally struggling for time themselves.
That's true, actually.
Everyone is so pressed for time, Rytasha, that we all have the same amount of time. So there's no denying
discrimination on time. Yeah, everyone has time.
We all have the same amount of time. In terms of, you see the CEO of the largest firm and you see somebody who's calling themselves a loser or unsuccessful. You have exactly the same amount of time. What are you doing differently with your time? See, that defines the kind of adult you're going to be.
Absolutely.
Because when we are younger, we have a very clear-cut, organized schedule in front of us. School jana hai, college jana hai, tuition jana hai, go out with friends. So it's very, very planned out for us. Even we don't even have to plan it ourselves. But when we grow up, that planning's responsibility is on us. Using that time properly is on us. And people fail.
I am one of those failures sometimes.
People fail. And there's a very simple trick of being able to do that, actually.
Please tell me, how do I manage my time?
You have your day split into what? 3 parts. 8, 8, 8.
Right.
So 8 hours, 8 hours and 8 hours. 8 into 3, 24.
Yeah.
Correct. 8 hours generally, biologically, we're meant to sleep.
Correct. I to sleep 8
Scientific.
hours.
Chalo, very good. You're taking care of that. Okay. 8 hours. Everybody, since the time you're born and you start going to nursery or school, you have that 8 hours of school. Okay, so your 9 to 5 or 10 to 6 is
your job.
Either school, college, job, tuitions, internship, something. There's something you got to do in those. For a homemaker, it's looking after the house for those many hours. Somebody who's working in a corporate job, it's going out. So there's something for you to do. 8 hours. Then is the most important 8 hours. The third part. That is your everything and nothing time. So what we really do is we're spending random hours procrastinating. So there are important activities which we have through the day, right? Like, what do you do importantly apart from working and sleeping?
Me?
Yeah, of course.
I don't actually. My most important activity in the day would be like writing my journal.
Fair enough. So writing your journal, showering, eating, chilling with friends, just random stuff. All of that combined, from those 8 hours, you have to remove half an hour, 30 minutes of productive time, of me time, of time that you are helping yourself to validate. So in 24 hours, a person doesn't have 30 minutes to spare for themselves. And at the end of the day, everybody says, mere paas to saas lene ka bhi waqt nahi hai. And I'm like, if you don't have the time to breathe, then you're going to have time for nothing one day, boss.
True.
So if you split your time out, it is not very hard. The same 24 hours can be used very productively.
Okay.
So that was my adult defense for you.
That's great.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm liking this, shoot out all your issues on adulthood. It's amazing to listen to them.
Yeah, it's just in this freelance life, it's just so hard to maintain a schedule of time.
It is?
Because I'm a lazy person. I'm a procrastinator. I'm a phone scroller. Yeah, I'm a millennial essentially. Trying to be productive is hard.
Okay, you tell me this. Okay, you've been giving me a lot on the adulthood aspect. So tell me, what is it that millennials are not so good at?
I can't speak for all of them. I can only speak for myself.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not very good at just sticking to schedules. I'm very good at getting lost on my phone and losing track of time. I'm not very good at socializing, which I think is a problem a lot of millennials have because we're so addicted to our phones. We've forgotten how to talk to people in real life, I think.
Agreed.
The risk of opening some cans of worms here, yeah, that's where I'm at. And millennials are not good at saving money also, I think, in general. But this is maybe I might be quoting an article or something, I'm not sure. I am trying to save money, but I am not very good at it, but I'm trying.
Yeah. Okay.
That's it.
Okay. So basically, you are good at everything apart from the fact that maybe communicating tangibly is an issue. See, when that happens, a lot of other issues can be taken care of.
Okay.
In general.
Yeah. How do you communicate tangibly?
Physically, which you guys don't do. Virtually. Your life's so virtual.
Oh, like that.
Yeah.
Huh.
I mean, having a conversation face to face, a little eye contact, a little body language, that crispness. But in your case, you're facing the camera all the time. So it's not like you're completely virtual.
No.
You are connecting, you're talking to a director, producer, artist, things like that. So you have that.
It's just my phone time, which is when on free days, phone time gets extended.
Of course.
That's all.
That's a struggle everybody's having. Because why is that struggle? Professionally and personally, we are intertwined into our phone now.
Also.
Exactly. I mean, it's not like we're using it only we will use it only to chill, but...
My excuse is that I'm working on Instagram.
Exactly,
and
my
actually
point.
I am, because I have an audience there and I need to connect with them also.
Of course, you must cater to your audience, and that's what I'm saying. It's intertwined, right?
Yeah.
It's not just...
Chilling.
I'm
working, yeah, you're right.
So then why don't you look at yourself as working on it at times?
I will.
Makes sense, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, how do you build your confidence?
How do I build my confidence? I write positive affirmations.
Oh, you do? Share?
Share means what?
Share na, it's good. I mean,
the normal ones. No, like I am happy, I am healthy, I am blessed, I am strong, I am brave, all that.
And do you use them?
I do. I have to tell myself because I've dealt with some pretty bad stuff in the last 2.5 years. So I've had developed this coping mechanism, if you will, of positive affirmations.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Is there something you would like to tell us about your struggle for the last 2.5 years, like you mentioned?
I was having a very bad time at work in my when I was shooting for the daily soap. So that show went on for 1.5 years, and because of the nature of the work being like so repetitive and that daily like grind of, I felt quite stagnant as I thought my growth had stunted, and my mental health took a big hit because at the same time, like personally, I'd been through a breakup and all that also. So many things were playing on my mind, and I think my mental health took a big hit, and that's when I finally was like, okay, I need to go for therapy. I need to do things that help me. So when I finished that TV show was last year, May.
Okay.
So like May, June, July, August, I was pretty like sad and down. Also because I had been working so hard for 1.5 years, and then I had suddenly like nothing to do.
Right.
So I was like chilling, and I needed that time off also to like get my brain and creativity back on track. So it took me a considerable amount of time, but that's when I started working at BuzzFeed also, because I was like actively putting myself in situations which would help me. And positive affirmations I knew about for a really long time. I just didn't try it, or I wasn't quite sure about
how it works and if it really does anything.
Yeah. Whereas like meditation and all also, like I had been doing on and off, yoga also for many years on and off. So kind of just like get back to that kind of stuff which helps your soul and will heal me from inside.
It's so important. I'm so glad you brought up positive affirmations, because when I'm coaching people and in my capacity, I also insist on people, constantly telling themselves how good they are. Yeah. Because we're always telling ourselves how bad we are.
Correct.
And that too through other people's vision of us, right?
I'm exhausted of just talking shit about myself to myself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And positive affirmations, why do you do that? I'll give you the reason why we do that. We do that because whatever we do consciously or subconsciously. Like driving a car.
Yeah.
So when you learned how to drive a car, you had to go through a test if you learned, right? You probably used your manual gear and you're thinking, oh my God, I'm not a left-handed person. How do I change it if you're driving in India? And you've got 3 pedals and 2 feet, a pair of eyes and 3 mirrors.
Yeah.
So what the hell are you supposed to do? Now, all of this you're consciously looking at and working on it consciously. Then slowly it's slipping into your subconscious. Now that activity has moved into your subconscious. Everything you do, for instance, positive affirmation, when you do it consciously, it slips into your subconscious. And that allows you to be in the right state of mind, irrespective of what's coming your way then.
That's beautiful.
That's the reason why we do it. Because people say, it's not helping me to say good things to myself. But you have to believe in those good things.
Yeah.
Do you believe in what you say? That's important. Yeah. So maybe on day 1 you won't. Maybe on day 2 you won't. Day 3 you won't. By the end of the week, you'll be like, yeah, well, actually, I am good, or I am confident, or I am beautiful. And that just changes the way you feel about yourself. Yeah. So subconsciously, you know what happens? Okay, let me ask you a little bit trivia here. Conscious and subconscious, how much of the mind, the percentage, is conscious?
I think I want to say like 2% or 10%.
Very good. Such a smart girl you are, Rytasha. It's about like a 10 to 12%. See, that's exactly why. Because what are we doing with our subconscious? Such a large percent
of things.
Literally nothing. Thinking and breathing.
Right.
You're breathing, I'm breathing, we're all breathing in this room, but we're not doing it consciously.
But whereas if you employ your subconscious, it can actively work for you.
Exactly.
So there's a book called The Power of the Unconscious Mind.
Yes, there is, yes.
Yeah. Which I haven't read, but a very dear friend of mine read it and he was telling me about it. And I was like, yeah, it makes sense. Like everything you want or everything you need, it already exists. Your subconscious mind knows everything already.
Right.
You can tell me in more articulation because I'm talking shit.
No, you're on the right track. So exactly the point, when, for example, when you're thinking that this is a stressful situation. Let's pick a situation like a breakup, a heartbreak, or stagnancy in your career. And you're thinking of it as a stressful situation. It's going to remain stressful till you believe it is so. The minute you start looking at opportunities in the obstacles.
Such nice words. You've given me good sentences.
Yes. Yeah. So, when you start looking for an opportunity, hey, you know what? This is stagnancy. I don't like what I'm doing. Well, maybe that means there's scope to try something new.
Yeah.
So, you know what? Let's get rid of this. Let's get into something else. So, you're substituting your mind to think positively.
Yeah.
And like you said, you can get your mind employed subconsciously to think positively.
Yeah.
People don't want to do that. So I'm so happy that you've chosen positive affirmations as a way.
Yeah, I have no other crutch. This is like my last hope.
No, this is
my only hope.
Trust me, this is enough. But to be honest with you, I find it very hard to believe a girl like you may be feeling such deep thoughts within. There you go, see? Because you have such an amazing attitude. I've seen your work, and it's amazing. I've seen a lot of your work, in fact. And you're all over Facebook on some days. Recently, I've seen you in this ad as well. There are 3 different girls.
Oh, the Alan Solly ad.
Right, the Alan Solly ad. I think you looked so gorgeous in it.
Thanks.
Yeah, so it's hard to think that you're finding it so hard to cope sometimes.
Sometimes. Not everyone finds it hard to cope.
Sometimes.
And I'm also a deeply emotional and sensitive person. So I feel everything a little extra. Like I don't need to feel everything so much. But I do. Can't help it.
No, why not? Feelings aren't bad. On that note of feelings, let's take a short break and get back.
Hey everybody, welcome to another awesome week on the IVM Podcast Network. If you are not following us on social media, please make sure you do. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I have an announcement for all of you, at least, the couple of dozen of you who are listening to us on SoundCloud. Come the end of October, early November, we're going to be discontinuing that channel. We're not really going to be making our content available on SoundCloud anymore. So if you are listening on SoundCloud, you can have a number of options. I say the best option is downloading the IVM Podcast app. But if not, you can download another podcasting app and you'll be able to find our content over there. We have a couple of new shows launching this week. Let me tell you about those. The first is called Boundless. This is hosted by Natasha Malpani Oswal. She reads her poems on mental health, relationships, family, marriage, and many other topics, and narrates personal anecdotes around these poems. Tune in to new episodes every Monday and Wednesday starting from 7th October. Postcards from Nowhere is hosted by Utsav Momoria. It's a travel podcast where Utsav talks about his journeys to obscure and fascinating places around the world. He explores the culture, history, and people from these places in the form of stories and gives you tips and tricks on solo travel. Tune in to new episodes every Thursday starting from the 10th of October. Here's what else you got on the IVM Podcast Network this week. On Cyrus Says, Cyrus is joined by Tej Brar, founder and managing director of Third Culture Entertainment. He tells Cyrus the stories behind his tattoos, talks about the upcoming Neon East Festival, and living in different places around the world from Boston to DC to Delhi. The 150th episode of Simplified is finally here. You sent in your questions and topic suggestions. Now listen to Chuck, Naren, and Shrikit tackle them. On The Habit Coach, Ashton is joined by Shimi Nadraja and Jessica Gabrielli from Power and Posture. They talk about the importance of arm balancing and how handstands can improve posture and build up core strength. On Tech Careers in the News, Shilithya is joined by Jayant Swami and Namrata Maheshwari, Chief Data Architect and Senior Architect at Accenture, to talk in detail about data points. On Golgappa, Trupti is in conversation with actress Sayali Phatak. They talk about her experience in theatre, acting as well as dancing. On Paperback, Racheta and Satyajit talk to Nirbhay Kanoria, the co-founder of online literary magazine The Curious Reader. He lists his favorite non-fiction books and the trends of reading on digital platforms. On Kinetic Living, Coach Urmi shares a surprise workout on Tabata Tuesdays, and on Thriving Thursdays, she shares a story that made her realize just how fragile life is. On Football Shitball, Gaurav, Karthik and Siva round up the Premier League weekend and talk about the absolute demolition Bayern Munich inflicted upon Tottenham. On Pulyabazi, Pranay and Saurabh are joined by Pratik Sinha, editor and co-founder of Alt News. They discuss the anatomy of fake news and its prevalence in today's time. And with that, let's get you on with your shows.
Welcome back to the Empowering Series with me, Zarina, and we're still in conversation with Rytasha.
Yeah, we are.
I like that.
Yeah, that's my energetic return from the break.
That's amazing.
Energy, yes.
Yeah, the break has actually given you some really newfound energy.
Yeah.
Hasn't it? Okay. We're talking about feelings and emotions.
Yeah.
So you're a very, very emotional person.
I'm a big-time feeler, big-time crier, big-time emotion person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how do you think that helps as a coping mechanism, or do you think sometimes that goes against you?
So as long as I maintain a healthy kind of expression of all the emotions, I think it will not go against me. But on some days, you know how you get trapped in a wrong emotion, but you know that emotion feels good and it's cathartic for that moment. So like when I get angry, for example, I know that, okay, I don't need to be angry about this. This is a very silly issue for me to be so angry about.
Right.
But some days I just indulge in that anger and I get it out. But now the more adult thing I've been trying to do because of therapy and all also is to just like hold my horses and be like, okay, why am I behaving like this? What is the need for me to get so upset about something which really does not need that much of my attention?
Right.
But it is a toss-up between these two. It's very hard to be at the second place. It's easier to go to the first place. And yeah, it goes against me sometimes because I do like to explore the full extent of all my emotions, whether I'm happy or I'm sad or I'm angry or whatever. I go to the final place. I don't hold back. But...
No, you shouldn't. But emotions are meant to be explored, experienced to their full potential. But what can happen in your case when you're sensitive and, I don't know, maybe overly empathetic by nature, correct? Then there's a chance that you are not emotionally intelligent.
Okay.
So what happens when you're not emotionally intelligent? You mix your feeling and your thinking.
Right.
So, for instance, right now, you might say, I'm feeling happy. Okay, Zarina, we're talking, I feel happy.
Yeah.
In your head, you might say, I feel like taking a holiday. Right?
But that's a thought.
Exactly. So, sometimes what we'll end up doing is we mix our emotions between a thought
and the feeling.
Okay. So, I usually like to tell my clients that first, try and identify the difference. Are you actually feeling something or are you thinking it?
That is making a lot of sense.
Right?
Yeah.
So when you start putting that into perspective, Rytasha, it is so much more easier to manage your emotions.
Right.
You must never get rid of any one emotion. I mean, it's great to be angry sometimes.
Yeah.
It's amazing to cry. For some people, crying is a stress buster.
Same. For
right?
me it is. That's why I cry so easily and I cry so much. Because for me it's the easiest way to cope.
Correct.
Like just cry and then be done with it. Then I forget about it in a moment.
You know, I'll give you a funny something about me. My eye doctor told me that I don't have enough tears to cry. Everybody's wondering why. Like, I don't cry easily.
You and Ayushi should be best friends. She cannot cry.
Even
Every
I can't.
episode of our show, she's like, Rytasha cries too much and I don't cry.
I can't cry easily, no matter what the situation. I mean, it just doesn't bring me down to that kind of a melting point. And I keep wondering, why is it that I'm not expressing this emotion? And I realize it's not that I'm not expressing my emotion. It's just that I don't have enough tears.
Tear gland. Like there's no, oh my God.
Which is great. In a way. But like I said, emotions, you have to experience everything. Only thing is, it's about management of your emotions. Right?
That's something which one can only learn with age and practice.
With age, practice, experience, experiencing adulthood on that Agla Station.
That's what. No, it's like everything exists and now we are just trying to figure out how to manage everything. We're managing everything. No, as an adult, you're managing your home, you're managing your life, you're managing your time, you're managing your feelings, you're managing your relationships.
Right.
You're managing everything.
But is that a bad thing?
No, it's not. But it is what it is. And it's not always easy. That's
it is,
all.
Yeah, it is a stressful thing. It can be stressful. But then again, stress has mechanisms as well.
Yeah.
Right? So what happens is I'll tell you one of the issues that happens with millennials as to why they get bogged down so easily is everybody's focusing on the same thing repeatedly, right? So it's easier to use the word stress now than maybe 20 years ago because we didn't know the word stress that clearly in our heads.
Yeah, we also know all these other words like anxiety.
Exactly.
Like now we recognize that feeling so easily. Like now, as soon as my body starts, like I will not say, oh, I'm feeling weird today. I absolutely know clearly I am having anxiety.
Right. So, you have Google. One. Yeah. Secondly, you all are way more, I won't say literate, but you are more educated and enlightened in these areas.
Yeah, because it's blown up on the internet like
so
crazy.
Much. And sometimes maybe that has its drawbacks. It's kind of a derailer because you're trying to diagnose yourself way more than anything is. Sometimes.
Yes.
Fair. And I guess maybe that's why, because the words that, like you said, that this book which allows you to think and kind of say the right things. Or you're sitting with two friends, let's assume, or you're sitting with a family member. Everybody's talking about their stress, tension. So what you're getting out of adulthood, you're seeing maybe an older brother or sister or a cousin, someone dealing with marriage issues, someone dealing with kids and, raising them, and someone dealing with financial. So you're only seeing that.
Yeah.
And so you're like, hey, you know what? This is not a place I want to be in. And why am I here already? So just that image of what these things look like in our heads, again, the feeling and the thinking.
Right.
Right. So I guess a lot of it has to just do with us being able to nourish our minds and be like, adulthood happened. Now, let's just embrace it.
Manage it.
Yeah.
Embrace it and manage it.
Yeah. Embrace it and manage it.
This is great. I'm enjoying this. You are a real adult and I'm a fresh adult, and you're giving me this lovely gyan. You're so empowering me on my journey.
I know.
Through the stations.
Yeah, journey through the stations. Yeah. Tell us a little more about how adulthood is going to empower people. Like Agla Station Adulthood.
Oh, I don't know how it'll empower our listeners. I think power can be in like the smallest ways. So I don't want to put anything out there, but if anyone listens to our show and if they feel a little less alone, if they feel a little braver that day, if they feel a little happier, a little lighter, or a little more heard or represented, then that's enough for me. I think that's how we will, I guess, be able to empower people.
That's extremely lovely, just the way you put it across. I wish I could put across my show like that. See, look, after being like a experienced adult, you have something so fresh coming out of you. Because you're a fresh adult, look. See the positives of the fresh adulthood here.
Baby adult.
Okay. What's in store for you in terms of work? Anything we can expect to see you in recent times that you'd like to share with
I'm
us?
doing a new play right now, actually. So you guys can watch that whenever it's out. It's called Good Morning.
Oh, lovely.
It's a dark comedy about death.
Mm-hmm.
So that's there. And I'm shooting for a show which will be out on a major streaming platform next year.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just keep it at that.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it's a high fashion show. You'll see me looking bomb.
There you go. So, Rytasha, what would you like to tell our listeners in terms of how they should deal with their confidence or how they should deal with people demeaning them on their body or giving them flack on body issues?
I think you need to just figure out for yourself what you are worth to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know I am XYZ things, and I usually 9 out of 10 times I will never put myself down no matter what. So the world may continue to put you down, but you need to make a list. So maybe say make the top 10 reasons why I love myself list. Once you make that list, anytime somebody puts you down, you go back to that list and you say, these are the top 10 reasons I love myself. And what anyone else says, if they are not a dear family member or a dear person to you, like, of course, friends and family will give you criticism. That's fine. That's healthy. You take that.
Right.
But if it's some idiot at an audition who calls you very, very fat, then you understand that person is a dumbo and you move on with your life. Like, is it worth getting upset over somebody else's comments? Because mostly people are stupid. That's another thing I've learned in adulthood. IQs are low.
They are.
And they are so, like, the world is full of dumb people, like really stupid people.
There is a difference, exactly. That point, I want to make this mention. There's a difference between being an adult and being a mature human being.
Yeah.
You can be little and still be very mature and sensible with a high IQ. And you can be an adult and be immature, silly, stupid in your thought process.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I guess you see a lot of those kind of people coming our way sometimes.
Yeah.
Isn't it? All right. Let's come to the end of this conversation, Rytasha. It's been amazing. I feel like it's been like a coaching discussion.
Yeah, I feel really empowered.
How sweet. I was just about to ask you my last question in the last segment. What is it that empowers you?
What is it that empowers me?
Yes.
I want to say love. Like, love empowers me.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
In terms of?
Like all the love in my life. Like everything, like the purest thing in the world for me is love. Like the emotion, and like all other emotions come out of fear and love.
Mm-hmm.
I want to draw everything back to love and say that that's what empowers me, whether it is like the love within my family, the love within my friend circle, the love within a romantic relationship, or love for my job and for my craft, or the love for telling stories, the love for human experience, or just all of that. Just
all of the love.
All of the love in the world makes me feel very empowered.
That makes this a very loving episode.
Yeah.
Doesn't it? Yes. Since you mentioned, any last thoughts on how people should shut down anybody, like in one sentence, if you had to put it, shut down people who make you feel like shit?
I don't want to shut anyone down. Just walk away and you are better than that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not worth engaging also sometimes.
Agreed.
People, yeah.
You know, you mentioned earlier that you must take people as, just take them as a pinch of salt, right? So in the last part of this empowering bit, I'd like to share with the listeners, or I would like to express this. If there are people in your life, they should matter only as much as salt in food. Just enough. Just the right amount.
Yeah.
More is absolutely too much in taste, less is too bland. So you need people, but take them as a pinch of salt in your food. As it is, you know, you have people in your life who can make you feel extremely good or extremely bad about you. Those kind of people have a space, but you have to define the line and you have to define how much space they have, right?
Yeah.
So exactly like that little salt you spoke about, that's how much people should matter.
Yeah, namak sahi hona chahiye.
बिल्कुल, स्वादानुसार.
Relationships में भी namak
स्वादानुसार. Yeah. So on that note, thank you so much, Rytasha, for coming onto the show, the empowering series, and all the very best with Agla Station Adulthood.
Thank you. Please, everyone, listen to our amazing episodes. They drop every Thursday, and you can follow Ayushi and me on Instagram. Also, I am at Rytash, and Ayushi is at AyushiA9.
Oh, lovely. Wonderful. Thank you. If you liked this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can listen to us on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com. You can also follow us on our social media. We are at IVM Podcasts on Twitter and Instagram.
Hey guys, this is me, Eva Bhatt, your host for the podcast 9XM Soundcast. This podcast is produced by India's largest music network, 9X Media. We have been catering music and you have been enjoying. And now we bring you a podcast where music inspires. Every week, I interact with some of the best minds from the music industry to understand their creative discipline. Every new episode will feature artists who will share inspiring notes from their journey, some valuable tips for budding artists. So do subscribe to the podcast where music inspires. Enjoy a brand new episode of 9XM Soundcast every Tuesday on IVM Podcast app or website or wherever you get your podcast from.
रिश्ते में तो हम तुम्हारे पॉडकास्ट लगते हैं. नाम है फुटबॉल शुटबॉल.
Presenting Football Should Ball, a show about three friends discussing our favorite game over a beer. Sometimes 3, maybe even 5. Hi, I'm Shiva, and with me are my two sidekicks, Gaurav Sapre and Karthik Iyer.
Sidekick? You mean like Batman's Robin or Van Persie Robin?
No, I mean like Alexis Sanchez, but with a little more skill than just playing the piano.
Ha! Just shows how the best players at Arsenal are mere bench warmers at United.
Oh, thank you, Iyer. But you're a Fulham supporter, so whenever you say anything to support me, I question my beliefs.
Just like how Griezmann would say, एक बार मैंने जो decision ले लिया, तो मैं अपने आप की भी नहीं सुनता.
Banter aside, we will talk match reports, transfer rumors, top controversies, fantasy football picks, and so much more. So grab a beer and tune in to Football Should Ball every Wednesday on the IVM Podcast app, website, or wherever you get your podcasts.